What's up guys, it's Lord Botha here with another video, and apparently Bungie is not just stealing other people's art, they're also stealing Ubisoft's playbook with Assassin's Creed Shadows, literally page by page. Because this game, Marathon, it's becoming Assassin's Creed Shadows in terms of a PR nightmare. First you had them accused of stealing people's art, basically using art that was not meant to be used in their game, which they blamed one person for, like, I don't know, tagging in a file and accidentally setting that file in the mail bin or whatever, that then got taken over to some stamp of approval desk where it was then stamped, and then all that art was digitally fixed in and used. They're trying to act like it was the oversight of one guy, who then that oversight trickled into a bunch more oversights. And it was all just an innocent accident. Meanwhile, like, a bunch of the art team follows this specific artist's anti-reel. And somehow a bunch of her art ended up being used in the game. And this is not the first time that Bungie has been accused of stealing people's art. And it was so bad that on their, like, gameplay reveal live stream, which they didn't actually show any gameplay of because, you know, legal reasons, because they stole all the art that might be in that gameplay. A stream that was, by the way, so bad that when I watched it, it gave me a better feeling about my streaming and video making capabilities. Like, it made me feel good about myself and where my capabilities are at this certain point in these very, very low effort videos that I make. And yet somehow they are more effort than this.
Cool. When we're up, we'll pull you in a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
We can start letting in the Discord audience before we're fully streaming.
Alright, so let us know when the actual stream camera is up.
I'll let you know
Cool.
too. Well, we're waiting.
It'd be awkward if you got some spelling errors in there.
Oh yeah.
Twitch is live.
Okay.
Is live.
Hi, Twitch. We'll get started in a second. Marathon. To my left here, or potentially on right on your screen, depending on if it's mirrored, is Joe Cross, everybody's favorite Joe, our director on Marathon. Sitting across from me, who's not on camera, is Andrew Witz, gameplay director, and we're gonna spend some time talking about some stuff today. Our show is a little bit different today. We planned actually to show a lot more stuff, but for a lot of reasons we're about to get into, we decided not to show a bunch of this stuff. But we are going to be discussing a lot about what we learned through Alpha, some of the plans that we're going forward with. But before we get into
And yes, nothing was wrong with your computer or television or anything there. They were out of sync in that live stream for like a good long while too, before it was actually fixed. But in this live stream, they literally read an apology letter essentially, and how they plan to do better.
Who worked on Marathon in the early stages of pre-production, took a number of graphic elements from a graphic designer without permission or acknowledgement and placed them on a decal sheet that was then checked in 2020. The decal sheet included icons and text elements. These elements ended up in our alpha build, and there's absolutely no excuse for this oversight. And we are working on and 100% committed to our review process to ensure instances like this don't happen again on Marathon.
Then, of course, as anybody who's followed this knows, they got absolutely cooked in their live stream. People spamming "plagiarism will make me God" and other sort of various messages to convey that they were not happy that Bungie got caught stealing people's art again. Then you add this on to the fact that only just under 7,000 people actually played that alpha test. So, you know, not the, 2,500 horrific CONCORD numbers, but not exactly a number that's far enough away to make anyone feel comfortable. I mean, you can't even crack 10K? You can't even crack 10K? But yeah, all this is bad for Bungie, particularly that live stream. It was so bad that I showed my wife it, who's not a massive gamer, and she literally died laughing at a part in the live stream where the art director, I don't remember his name, he's reading his little apology letter, and he comes to a point where he's like, we really liked your art. It's so good that we'd even think about using it in our game. And she literally cracked up for minutes on end because, like, obviously you would use it. You stole it to use it. That's the whole point of all this. But the reason why I brought up Assassin's Creed Shadows at the beginning of this video is you may remember Assassin's Creed Shadows was supposed to drop in November of 2024. It was then massively delayed. This was to fix certain elements of a game and etc, etc. But I also think it was to give more breathing room because of the nightmare PR that the game had. And the funny thing about it is it actually made more nightmare PR for them as they went along, to the point where people actually thought that a Assassin's Creed game that was taking place in feudal Japan, which people have wanted for, I don't know, a decade, could actually be a massive flop. Now it turns out that it ended up not being a massive flop. It did about 2.4 million copies sold, at least so far, a couple months in, which is really good if you're an indie game selling at $50 like Claire Obscure, which, by the way, a month in, they're actually doing better than that, 3.3 million copies sold in 33 days. But when you're the massive juggernaut that is Ubisoft, those aren't the numbers you're looking for. And they're definitely not the numbers that are going to save the company. Nor are they numbers that really justify the direction the Guillemot family wants to take this company in. But I could rant for hours on how Ubisoft is a stupid company. The point is that Marathon, well, they're thinking of delaying their game. This comes to us from Insider Gaming, entitled Marathon Marketing Reportedly Cancelled as Game Delay Rumors Circulate. The article states, in a recent episode of the Sacred Symbols podcast, Colin Moriarty, of former IGN fame, explained, quote, I was told by someone familiar with marketing plans in a key overseas market that there are now no plans to do paid marketing for Marathon at all. I don't know if those plans were affected by what has recently happened or if that was the plan or whatever, but it is considered a fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. I don't know if the game is high profile or just needs to be high profile and needs to be a win for Bungie, because they don't really have much going for them. They refuse to do anything much more with Destiny, and now they've kind of put all their eggs into this one basket. The article goes on to state, it seems highly unlikely that Bungie will meet the September 23 release date, as the chatter around Marathon is now alarmingly negative. This was the fourth time in recent years that Bungie has found itself the subject of plagiarism debate, and Marathon was already finding it tough shaping up in the extraction shooter space. Yeah, mostly because it doesn't look like an extraction shooter. It looks like a really, really ugly arena shooter. At least that's what all the streamers that were test playing this looked like they were doing with the game. It didn't look like they were playing an actual extraction shooter. I gotta be honest with you, I would not be surprised if this game is delayed. Not only to avoid the worst of the PR nightmare that is coming down right now, in the same way that Assassin's Creed tried to do that, but also because I think they just need the time to completely overhaul the art in the game to make sure Anti-Real's art is not in the game, so they don't, get massively sued. And I think the art is so ingrained into this game at so many different levels because there's a lot of evidence showing that a lot of her art is in the game. That is going to take quite a long while. And the wild part is why didn't they just hire her? Why didn't they just spend 60, 70K a year to hire her as an artist and use her art in the game? Just give her credit. At this point, I feel like it would have been cheaper and easier. Also, the person who actually really gets bailed out here is Randy Pickford. Because as we all know, Randy stepped into it a few days ago, basically saying that fans aren't real fans unless they find some way to afford his $80 Borderlands 4 game. This game, Marathon, was supposed to release on the same day as Borderlands, and was going to be kind of a duel to the death to see which game flops harder. But now Borderlands 4, which actually had a little bit of hype around it before Randy put his foot in his mouth again, now they at least have the benefit of Marathon not releasing on the same day to take, I don't know, 1K of the people who would have bought that instead of Borderlands. I don't know the numbers on that. I don't know exactly what the crossover between something like Marathon and Borderlands 4 would be. My guess is not big, but maybe a little, and I guess that would be gone now. So I guess there's a little bit to celebrate there until eventually Borderlands 4 or the executive behind it will do something stupid again. But yeah, this game definitely probably going to be delayed, and it's not going to save it. It's just going to drive up the cost of the game more, and what you're going to end up with is another Concord on your hands. Maybe not as bad as Concord, but near that level. I just don't feel any hope with this game. And frankly, if this is how Bungie continuously treats artists, then they deserve to fail a little bit. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go and leave in the comments. If you liked this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.